Thank you, and have a nice day. Well, I'm back yet again to do another underrated movie review. This is another sequel in a film series that I feel received a little bit of criticism and was rather underrated. Was Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome came out in 1985. It has a runtime of an hour and, fuck, I'm cheating myself. I don't remember the runtime. Hour and 57 minutes. And it stars Mel Gibson and Tina Turner and Bruce Spence. Now, there's some critics that really liked this, but a lot of fans really panned the movie. Gene Siskel, and I don't care for Siskel and Ebert, but actually I agree with Siskel and Ebert on this one. Gene Siskel says a series of films that just keeps getting better and better. It was directed and written and produced by George Miller, which he's this year is 2015, and this summer is the next Mad Max film, the fourth Mad Max Fury Road. Prior to Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, there was Mad Max in 1979, and then there was Mad Max 2 in 1981. Now, everybody thinks that these are the best, and I do think these are really good. Most people's favorite in the whole series is Mad Max 2. My favorite is the original Mad Max, personally, but I do think that Mad Max 2 and Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome are really good because I really like the movies. And this is the plot of Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. That's the law in Bartertown's Thunderdome Arena. But lawmaker Anti-Entity will soon add another. Don't get Max mad. Anti-Entity is a power-mad dominatrix determined to use Max to tighten her stranglehold on Bartertown. Max faces off against the gladiatorial blaster with maces, chainsaws, and anything not nailed down inside Thunderdome. You see Mad Max, and you'll hear the soundtrack, and you agree we don't need another hero, which Tina Turner did some of the music for this film too. This movie was a little bit more of a commercial type of movie in the series, but they're all cult classics in my opinion. The artwork done for the promotion of the film was actually done by somebody named Amsel. I don't know if it was a man or a woman. I never could figure that out. But the same person that did the artwork for this film also did the artwork for the movie that came out in 1981, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. So it's the same artist that did the artwork. I love this artwork. It's amazing. Very detailed. And one complaint I have about these DVD releases is, and I know that this is completely off topic before I jump into why I like this movie, but I really wish they would have made a special edition of Mad Max 2 and Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome on DVD, but they never did. But it does include the widescreen and full screen versions of the film and theatrical trailers. And just to jump off topic real quick yet again, Mad Max 2 has a really shitty menu, so I really wish it had a better menu. And that's completely random, I know, but I thought I would say that. But now to jump into why I like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome and why I felt like the film was poorly received. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome has less emphasis on vehicular combat, and there's not as much of that going on. The first two Mad Maxes, with the action sequences, because they're science fiction action thrillers, or science fiction action adventure thrillers to be very specific, is the first two, they do have a lot of vehicular combat in them as far as the action goes. This does not. This is more physical action, which I like all these. These are good sci-fi action adventure thrillers, all three of them. A great film series. This is before Mel Gibson went nuts with all that Passion of the Christ bullshit, and became a racist alcoholic asshole. And before fame went to his head and became a total fucking nut job, which, for the record, I think Mel Gibson is a douchebag, and I think most of the movies he's done is overrated, but these are the ones that I only really like, along with The Man Without a Face. So the Mad Max movies that he did I really love, and these are the movies that helped him receive the repertoire because of their cult following. 1985, yet again, was a big year for movies. This year marks the 30th anniversary of Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And there's a lot of movies that came out in 1985, along with Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, such as Breakfast Club, Weird Science, Better Off Dead, Back to the Future, George Romero's Day of the Dead, Vision Quest, all of those, The Color Purple, all those, Goonies, all those came out in 1985. 1985 was a big year, like 1984, and this was a summer movie, and it was a movie that it just, I don't know what movies came out when it came out, but I'm pretty sure Breakfast Club came out, and it was a movie that didn't get as great of a reception, but even by fans, not, you know, critics really liked it. It had a great reception by critics, but not so much by fans. And most people, like I said, prefer Mad Max and Mad Max 2 in the series. But I really liked Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And what was sad is during the production of the film, a tragedy befell the filmmakers during the making of the film, on the set of the film. Is and I have to think of his name for a second. It was Byron Kennedy, and his name's not even on here, but I just remembered it by looking at it. Is Byron Kennedy was a good friend of George Miller, and he was a in this he I have to look really quick and see if I can find. He helped produce the first two Mad Max, and this he didn't produce them, but he was scouting for locations. He was a kind of a location scouting person. And there was a helicopter, and there was a very bad helicopter crash that killed both him and the pilot, sadly. And during the filming of the film, because Byron Kennedy, or excuse me, I'm sorry, fuck, I forgot his name. Yes, Byron Kennedy had suffered that death. It really affected George Miller. He was very distraught, and he became very depressed in that, and he became very reclusive. It must have been hard for him, losing a friend like that in such a tragic turn of events. And he couldn't focus on making the film, but I mean, who could? I mean, if that happens to your friend and you're making a movie, you know, sometimes personal life gets in the way of your creative endeavor, and that's hard. That's not an easy thing. So because that happened, George Miller had to leave the set, and he was in the grieving process, like anybody would be if they lost that great of a friend. And he couldn't continue onward with the film, so he handed the film off to George Ogilvy. George Ogilvy then further continued the directing of the film. He was the assistant director. So George Miller handed the film off to George Ogilvy. And I think some people just didn't like it because it didn't have a lot of vehicular combat in it. And this was a bit more commercial than the previous two Mad Maxes, where they had Tina Turner in it, and they had Tina Turner do the music for it, and like, I really liked it. I thought it was amazing. I love 80s movies. I really think that this is a really cool movie. It does have a fan base. I'm not going to say people don't like this movie. But in more recent history, it's a movie that has been hated on by people. And they say, oh, Mad Max and Mad Max 2 is awesome, and Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome sucks. You know what? I don't give a shit. I like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Really, like I said, my favorite in the whole series of Mad Max movies, as far as is the first Mad Max. That one's my favorite because it's a good revenge movie. But I look forward to the next Mad Max movie this year, and you know, to celebrate Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, because it was the last Mad Max movie. There hasn't been a Mad Max movie in 30 years. This year's the 30th anniversary of Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. It's kind of a neat neat timing. You know, you got a new Mad Max movie after 30 years, which is cult classic science fiction, action, adventure thrillers. Um, but you have a new sequel, but yet you're celebrating this movie if you like this movie simultaneously. So I think that's really good timing, and it's a film series that I must admit that I'm ready for another one. I'm curious to see what they would do without Mel Gibson and have Tom Hardy play the character. Um, I really like the kind of motif that they have, kind of the metal punk, heavy metal motif. I don't necessarily know if that was intended by the directors. I think it was by the style of the film. It's kind of a film that is part of kind of an alternative subculture, which I'm all into that. I mean, it's pretty obvious that I'm into alternative subculture, and this is definitely right up my alley, you know. So I mean, and I like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. You know, you don't like it, then fuck off.